Hey everybody, Lee with LG Speed and Custom, and today we're working on my 1947 Ford. So for those of you who've never watched this channel before, this is my 1947 Ford. This is the newest car I own, and it gets driven literally every day. This is a true daily driver, especially since we took Shannon's Comet apart. Shannon, she drives a 61 Comet, and that was her daily driver for years, but we've taken it off the road now to do a V8 swap on it. So she started riding her, she's got a 61 Lambretta, and she started riding that every day. However, just after we took the 6-cylinder out of her Comet, her Lambretta, actually, the rear hub wore out and got all wonky. So it's off the road. So she's literally been driving this car every single day, every morning to work and every evening on the way home. So it needs a little bit of maintenance. So that's what we're going to do today. Some of the things that we got to take care of. Notice there's no moon disc wheel cover on this wheel. This wheel has developed a slow leak, so like every 2 or 3 days on her drive to work in the morning, she's got to blow this tire up. It's also started developing a little bit of a wobble in the steering, and at first it was pretty subtle, around 45-50 miles an hour. You'd start to feel it and it'll kind of go away after that, but now it's gotten to the point that if you hit a good bump in the road or get over 35 miles an hour, it really starts to shake. So a couple weeks ago, I put it up in the air and checked all the steering out, and everything looked okay, other than one tie rod end was pretty worn out, which is a bit of a bummer because, I mean, they're only like a year and a half old, these tie rod ends. So I got a new tie rod end. We're going to put that in today, as well as the signal light switch. Something has come apart in the signal light switch because you really got to wiggle it to get it to move, and it keeps jamming up. I was driving it yesterday, and the signal light got stuck on, and I was wiggling and wiggling. It took about 2 blocks before I got it to come off. So we're going to take a look into that as well. So that's our plan for this video. Let's make it happen. Much like most vehicles I own, you have to drive this thing up on blocks to get a floor jack under it. There's our problem, I hope. That's the only thing. This tie rod wiggling in here is the only thing in the whole steering system that is loose. So hopefully if we tighten that up, or sorry, replace it, I got a new tie rod to replace it with, our steering wobble will go away. So before I take this out, I'm just going to take some calipers here and measure from the end of the tie rod to the end of the threads. And that way when we thread the new one in, it will kind of get us in the ballpark of where we need to be. So hopefully this threads out okay. And also the other thing I'm concerned about is, so I ordered a left-hand tie rod because this is the left-hand side, and I really hope that this actually is the left-hand tie rod and not a right-hand tie rod, because then we're out of luck. Uh-oh. Kind of, I don't know if it's threading in or out or not. I think it is, which is not good. I might have ordered the wrong side. Well, we'll get it out and figure it out from there. I might have a right-hand thread tie rod here. I don't know why I didn't order 2. Hindsight, I guess. Okay. Let's see if this thread's in. I don't think it's going to, because I think we got the wrong... Oh, man. Greasy fingers. Oh, yeah. I got the wrong side. Okay. I might have one in my bolt bin. Let's go look. Okay, so I went and looked in the bolt bin here, and this is a right-hand thread tie rod that I have had in my bolt bin, brand new, for probably 10 years. And I've always known it was there, and I've never used it because I've never ever just replaced a single tie rod before. I've always done two at a time. So hold on, before we get carried away, we need to put some anti-seize on here. Get some copper coat on there. This will save you later. Notice how easy that one came out when I took it apart? It's because it had copper coat on it. Okay, let's thread this guy back in there. Oh man, it's going really nice. Okay, that's probably getting close. Let's get our calipers in here and check. One more thread. Oh, it bottomed out. Maybe not one more thread. How close is that? That's really close. You know what? I think we can probably try that and be okay. Let's put it back in. So I got this all bolted on, and notice it's still pretty wiggly, which I'm not super stoked on. So I got really looking in and noticed, you can hardly even tell unless you're at the right angle, but this steering arm is actually moving a little bit. So I think I'm going to pull the hub off and maybe unbolt that steering arm and bolt it back on with some Loctite, and I'll torque it. I had this problem on the other side a few months ago. The steering arm actually came loose. So I Loctited it and torqued it, and it seems to be fine now. So it's probably no surprise that this side's the same thing. This car is the first car I've ever had with bolt-on steering arms. Normally, I never use them. I always use I just heat the steering arms up and drop them with the torch. But when I put the dropped axle in this car and was putting it all together, it was a Sunday when I was working on it, and my torch ran out of acetylene. So I didn't have enough. I tried and I couldn't get it hot enough to bend. So I was like, you know what? I've got steering arms hanging on the wall that I bought at a swap meet. Cut them off, bolted these steering arms on, and I have to say, I really regret doing that. I should have just heated and bent them like I always do, because they don't come loose. So we're going to pull this wheel off, take that steering arm off, clean it all up, and put some good Loctite on it and torque it, and hopefully it holds. These are real screw-on moon discs, not the snap-on ones. These are like the actual real SCTA approved, or I don't know if they currently still are, but anyways, they're old, like real moon discs. The newer style ones, I mean, you can still get screw-on ones, but most people that have the newer style ones, they're just the snap-on ones. So I bought these moon discs at a swap meet when I was 16 years old. I've had them forever. I've had them on, I think this is the 4th or 5th car that I've had them on, so they're really cool. Okay, let's take this apart. So here's where those steering arms actually bolt on, and on this side, like when you wiggle it, there's still nothing even moving. It's so weird how you can barely see it. So we'll take these apart and clean up the threads, put them back together with Loctite. Cool, we've got these guys retorqued again, and look at that, no more wiggle. I think we solved this. So hopefully they stay tight. with Loctite. We gotta finish this up, and I should probably reset the alignment again. I usually set them with a 1/8 toe in, so we'll do that. I just do that with a tape measure. It's pretty easy. So this side with the slow leak, I have a sneaking suspicion that it's my screw holes for my moon discs that I was just talking about how cool they are. Well, to mount them, you have to drill a hole in the rim. And this tire's had a slow leak before, and it was from these guys. I just filled them with, I can't remember if it was urethane or, hi Doris. Can't remember if it was urethane or gasket maker that I filled in there, but that's where it's leaking from again. I just took a little bit of soapy water. We'll spray these, and now that the camera's on, obviously you can't see it because it's not going to do it now, but I did have little bubbles coming out. Oh, there we got one starting. So I think we'll clean these up and smear some fresh urethane in there. Let it kind of set up, and then fill the tire up. Put the moon disc back on. See how long it takes till it leaks again. I just let all the air out of here and took a little bit of 80 grit, an 80 grit roll-lock, and cleaned the old stuff off of here. So we've got some right stuff here. Just take a little bit of that on my finger, and we're going to plug this hole with it. And that should, so like I said, this is the, I think, second or third time I've had to do this. It's probably not a good fix. I think the proper thing to do would be take this tire off, weld those holes up, and drill it again. Because of the other 3 tires, this is the only one that is an issue. But, we'll do that another day. Okay, Chuck and I are gonna go get some lunch, and we'll let this sit and come back to it later. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do, or how I do wheel alignments on these. So for starters, you don't need to take your straight axle car to an alignment shop, because the only thing you can adjust on these is the toe in and toe out. The camber and caster is all set from the factory. So if you go on your tire here, I counted 3 rows in, which is the center, and I just put a mark there with a little white grease pencil. Then I go to the back side of the tire and made a mark on the same point. From there, you go to the other tire, and same thing. You make your put your white marks on the center line there, and then all you got to do. This is probably too hard to do by myself on the camera, but if you can get that guy to stay in there and come along, it's not going to stay. So pretend it did, because I just measured this, and that gave us 57 and 9/16. So we want the front of this to be an 1/8 inch toed in, which means whatever measurement we have here, we want an 1/8 inch more on the back, so that the tires are pointed. Pretend my feet are the tires. You don't want them straight. You want them like that. An 1/8 of an inch. And the reason for that is because as you start driving and you have all your tolerances, your slack tolerances in your steering system, it should even out to 0. Or not quite 0, but you don't want them perfectly straight, because then it kind of dances around everywhere. So if you set them at an 1/8 inch and you start driving, they kind of go like that a little bit, and it works out. It's good. So I measured already, and we had 57 and 9/16 on this side, and I believe we had 57 and, I can't remember if it was 3/8 or a 1/4 inch, 57 and 3/8, I believe. So to get it to, right now it's like pigeon-toed, it's like this. So to get it to go like that, all we have to do is our tie rod here. Hey, look at that, it's marked L for left. So I loosened this off, and I still haven't tightened it up on the other side. So we just take our tie rod here, and we probably only need to go like maybe one turn. So we'll remeasure it now and see where we're at. Okay, so I just measured again in the back, and we're at 57.5. And if we come up front here, we are at 57 and 3/8. So that gives us our 1/8 inch toe in. We're good here. We can tighten those little clamps back up so the tie rod doesn't end. And I think we're done under here. I just filled this tire back up, put the valve core in and filled it up, and it seems to not be leaking now. So we'll put this moon disc back on. Okay, no, it's fine. I thought I heard something, but might have been, the neighbors are moving right now, so. Okay, that's probably what I heard. Where did our holes go? I don't know. I think that's one there. We'll screw this thing back on and then dig into that signal light switch. So with the front end all finished up, we can move on to our signal light switch. So here's our issue here. This is just flopping around all terrible like. So I'm hoping if we take this screw out, there's just something that came loose in there. I hope this thing's not broken. Although, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it was. This is just like a cheap United Pacific. I think I bought this off Amazon for like 30 bucks or something. You kind of get what you pay for sometimes. So we'll start by just taking the screw out, see what it looks like inside. Cover off. This I think is a rivet right here, and it's definitely loose and not happy. So I think we'll maybe take these little nuts off and see if this will slide out, see what it looks like from the backside. I don't know, I've never taken one of these apart before. And let's see what it looks like in here. Okay, that is definitely just a rivet. I wonder if we can maybe take a hammer and tighten that up a little bit. And what's happening in here? No idea. It seems to be moving okay though. I wonder if it's just literally as simple as tightening this up. Okay, I think this was actually pretty easy. There was a little ball bearing right there, and this was all really dry, and there's a lot of resistance on it. So I just put a little bit of lithium grease on there, and then squeezed this rivet with a pair of pliers, and it seems to be moving. Pretty happy now. So I think we solved this issue too. I'll put it back together. Cool. That works so nice now. So if you have one of these United Pacific signal light switches, it might be a good idea to just take this cover off. It's just one little screw. And put a little bit of grease in there. It seems to like that. This little end used to flash green, but that lasted like a week. I'm okay without it flashing though. Cool. All right. Might be time for a test drive. Okay, we're out on the highway now, and we're just hitting 45, coming up on 50 miles an hour, and we have zero shake. It is like one hand on the wheel, nice and happy. So I think all our problems are solved. I think we're good to go again. So look at that, we're doing 55 miles an hour. I can take my hand off the wheel. Cool. Cool, so we've got our steering death wobble sorted out. Took it up to 60 miles an hour a couple times out on the highway, and it was nice and smooth every time. Our tire with our slow leak, we'll just have to monitor that and make sure that it stays full. And I know eventually I'm gonna have to fix that properly, but in the meantime, this will be fine. The signal light switch is nice and smooth now, works better than it's ever worked before. The last thing that I did on this was when I was out on the highway, I had the heater going and remembered that the defrost for the driver's side windshield was not working, and it rains a lot here, so it gets pretty humid in the wintertime, and you need defrost to keep the windows clear. So I looked into it, and it was super simple. It was just a little hose fell off the top of the heater here. By the way, these heaters work great. They just pump the heat out. So yeah, we got our defrost now, and I think this thing is good to go again. Back in service. Not that it came out of service, it had a couple quirks, and now it has some less quirks. So Shannon should be able to keep getting to work every morning with that. And hopefully we get her Comet back together soon, and then she can go back to driving that every day. So as always, make sure to check out the website, lgspeedcustom.com. And if you want to support this channel, go get yourself a LG Speed and Custom shirt or some stickers, or as you guys know, we make hot rod parts, so get some of our parts if you want. Every sale on the website, all that money just goes right back into this channel and back into the cars to continue to make great videos for you guys. Also, thanks to the Wrought Iron Haulers for the music on this video. Great Victoria rock and roll band, so go check them out on Bandcamp. And yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video. Oh yeah, nice and toasty.